another live stream. Back to another live stream. Back
100 times?
to another live stream.
200 times?
Back,
500 times?
Probably.
Who is Jose Arteaga?
Jose Arteaga is a YouTube content creator with several channels focusing on different themes.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Thing sucks!
His main channels include travel vlogs and lifestyle content. On his travel channel, Jose Arteaga Travels.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
Additionally, he runs a cooking channel and engages in other personal projects that highlight his diverse interests and expertise. Projects and expertise. Projects and expertise. Projects, project, 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 expertise.
Officially running for President of the United States. We need a leader. I will be the greatest jobs president that God ever created. It can be wonderful if you have smart people, but we have people that are stupid. The American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back bigger and better and stronger than ever before. The American dream. And we will make America great again. And we will make America great again. And we will make America great again. We will make America great again. And we will make America great again. We will make America great again. And nobody builds walls better than me, believe me. Bigger and better and stronger than ever before, and we will make America great again. Thank you. Thank you very much. And we will make America great again. We will make America great again. And we will make America great again. And we will make America
Bill on the sax. Never forget that. I don't know how old you guys are out there in the audience, but when Bill was playing the saxophone on Arsenio Hall, and he broke the internet before the internet was invented to be breaking. Well, I mean, the internet was invented by the CIA, DARPA, whatever, in the 70s. But you know what I mean. Remember?
We will make America great again. America great again.
Thank you on the kind words on the intro. Well, all right, let's get into the show, guys. All right, one last one here.
Are we the baddies?
And he went from...
Are we the baddies? Are we the baddies?
All right. Anyways, guys, welcome back to the show. All right, we got to go full screen. Man, my sincerest apologies. I don't got anything in the background just yet. I do want to say thank you to all of you guys out there watching, and thank you for the kind words on the intro. I do put a lot of work into some of these intros, not all of them. Sometimes, one second, hold on, let me open the door here. Yeah, but it's still echoey. I need more stuff. I need to have more stuff out here in the room in order to create less echo. As for some of you guys that don't know, I just moved to a new house, new room, very echoey in here because there's nothing hanging on the walls. I got nothing, I got just a mess. But anyways, my room is still not as much of a mess as the rest of the world is these days. And, well, that's what we're going to be talking about today. We're going to be talking about, well, how this has all developed. This is kind of crazy to me in a weird way, because it's like I was not expecting, I think none of us were really expecting, for the USA to be the bad guys. We're the baddies. That's kind of nuts. And, because, I mean, look, man, it doesn't, these days, it doesn't matter what you say, how you say it, how it is. Right now, I think that, there's all these words that are being thrown around, whether they want to call you a Nazi, or they want to call you anti-Semitic, or they want to call you, racist, or whatever they want to call you. Just simply trying to shut down your voice, your opinion, your thoughts. But look, man, I think at this point, there's not really that much to say. I know a lot of people feel many ways about what's going on in Israel. Again, we're talking about pre them deciding to bomb Iran, all right? Right now, a lot of people feel a lot of ways, about the whole thing with the Gazas and all that over there. Even though, again, if you ask somebody, to simply, that doesn't have any idea about any history about anything, about what's going on there, Palestine, that whole thing, whatever. Most people would just be like, yeah, it's horrible. It's a massacre, a genocide, whatever you want to say. But we're not talking about that. We're that, it doesn't matter how you talk about that. Again, I am not anti-Semitic. I got a lot of Jew friends, a lot of, I got no problem with any of that, but the point is that, a lot of people do have a problem with what they're doing over there. Now, again, this is not the point I'm making here. I'm trying to make the point that there's people that have problems with that, meaning some people are pro-Palestine, some people are anti-Palestine. That's it. That's all I'm saying there, okay? And the way in which Israel is going about this, a lot of people around the world don't like it. Again, this is not, I think most people kind of know, what's going on here with that, okay? This is not news per se, okay? It doesn't matter whether you agree with Israel or don't. Okay, now, so hold on. So now okay, fast forward to where we are now. Even though it seems like most of the world is not behind what what Israel is doing. Most of the world is not behind what Israel is doing. Most people cannot really voice, their opinion in any way, shape, or form, because they get censored. The narrative that the news, the media, I got the AC. I'm trying to just, I'm trying not to freeze myself. It's like weird temperature out here. Sorry, 1 second. I know some of you guys are listening to this on the podcast. Horrible, horrible. I'm just trying to fix the air conditioner here. All right, all right. But look, all I'm saying is that even though a good majority of the world is not in favor with what Israel is doing, the news and the media and the propaganda out there will tell you otherwise. They will let you know that it's the opposite, that the world is behind Israel, blah, blah, blah. Okay, whatever. Fast forward to all of a sudden Israel bombing Iran, okay? Because that's what happened. Remember, that's how the whole thing started, okay? What we're going to be talking about right now. Israel bombs Iran, all right? Missiles Iran, all right? And as soon as they do that, well, then Iran bombs Israel. And all of a sudden, the whole world was like cheering and happy for that. So then you think to yourself, well, wait a minute, then, okay, all right. Well, I mean, that's the whole world was already thinking that and blah, blah, blah. But now it's pretty apparent. Forget what the news says. Forget what the propaganda says. You're seeing it, on Instagram. You're seeing it on Twitter. You're seeing it. We see all kinds of people all around the world that have nothing to do with what's going on out there cheering for this. So I'm like, all right, that's cool. Cheering for Israel getting bombed. Okay, whatever. So it seems, right now, the world, is already pretty well established. Most of the world is behind Iran. They're backing Iran or they're supporting Iran, and nobody's supporting Israel. Only, simply because, a good majority of the hatred towards Israel is because of what they're doing to Palestine. I think that if, Israel was not, doing the horrible things that they're doing to Palestine since October 7th or whatever, I think that a good majority of the world would, maybe be on the fence, or maybe not even have an opinion, or just kind of like, be neutral to the whole Iran Israel situation. But because of Israel, basically creating all this horrible, 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 whatchamacallit, like reputation for itself in the last several years or year, or however long this has been going on, right now the world has they have zero to negative sympathy with Israel. So therefore, as you're seeing, Iran retaliate and actually attack and start, really killing, and doing a lot of horrible things over there to the Israelites or whatever, to Israel, then all of a sudden you're seeing the world cheer. Now, okay, that's been established, all right? So now all of a sudden, you would think as an American, or as someone on the world, hey, the USA, this is a perfect time to disconnect and a perfect time to get away, from this situation. But again, if you're really an American and you know what's going on with everything and been knowing what's going on for a long time, you already know this is the opposite. Literally as soon as Israel bombed Iran and the minute that Iran bombed Israel, the USA basically came in its pants. They basically, yeah, that's how I come, right? Anyways, basically, the USA just fucking, came in its pants because it's like, oh, really? Okay. Great. Okay, so now our enemy, our mortal enemy, our number one, worst person on the fucking planet besides Putin, or whatever. Anyways, is Iran. Because look, if the Democrats are in power, they hate Russia. But when the conservatives are in power, they don't really hate Russia. When the conservatives are in power, they hate China. But when the Democrats are in power, they don't really hate China. But it doesn't matter, if you're on the left, on the right, conservative, Democrat, whatever. Everybody seems to hate Iran. Again, for no reason. No reason at all. Because, again, is Iran to blame for high gas prices? Is Iran to blame, why, and there's out of control inflation? Is Iran, to blame because you don't have a job, or, artificial intelligence is taking over your job? Is Iran to blame, for whatever you're complaining about? No, they're not. They have nothing to do with any of this stuff. But for whatever reason, the USA, they hear you're complaining. You're complaining about, hey, fix the roads. Can we get health care? Can we get a paying wage? Hey, can you help us with these things? And what does the USA do? Like, yes, of course we're going to help you. We're going to go bomb Iran. What? So anyways, And we're going to go back Israel. Huh? What? So most Americans, they're not happy. Okay. But anyways, but when it comes to the political side, not in a typical American, I'm just talking about the political people, all the congressmen, the president, all these people, they all hate Iran, all the political, whatever. And so since now all of a sudden, the country that they support the most, which is Israel. Again, the USA is the only country on planet Earth that supports Israel. So now all of a sudden, Iran, our mortal enemy, attacks Israel. So, well, this is a perfect excuse for the USA to now attack Iran. Now, of course, you already know they're dilly-dallying around, like, hey, attacking Iran. The USA is not trying to, right now they can't necessarily attack Iran or, start a war with Iran or anything like that because, of all the, which is so funny, when when it is that they decide, to follow the laws of the Geneva Convention or the laws of war or this or that. Again, they do atrocious, horrible things on one end and break all those international war laws, laws about war, international laws, whatever. And then on the other side, they're trying to follow the laws. But anyways, long story short, they're not trying to declare a war to Iran per se, right off the bat. So what they're going to do, which is already gonna happen, at some point. I think maybe since so many people have talked about it, maybe it won't happen, but maybe something will happen. But look, what's happening is that, ever since, Israel and Iran have been missiling each other, they've been missiling each other. Ever since that's been going on, all of a sudden the USA has been sending a bunch of warships, a bunch of, boats, right? Our military boats out here, just to hang out. You're seeing, that meme where the guy's like, hey, what are you doing here? What are you doing here? No, nothing. Just hanging around. Anyway, so yeah, our boats, all of a sudden, we're just what are you doing here? What are you doing? No, just hanging around. Just hanging around. All right, let me see if I gotta find the meme. Hold on, let me see if I can find the meme. So stupid, I know. But anyways, okay, so that's what's going around. That's
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
What are you doing?
So the USA, it's just all of a sudden, they're just, what are you doing? What are you doing? So anyways, so anyone that's read a history book, kind of knows a little bit of how the USA, starts shit. What we do is that we just send a bunch of ships out there and we basically, bomb ourselves. So basically, we got ships that we were about to decommission. We were about to fucking turn into coral reefs or whatever. And they were basically sending those fucking ships out there. There were like a few, I don't know what the name of the ship was, but anyways, there's a few ships out there. At least I know one of them, that, was basically about like a week away from, retiring, getting decommissioned or some shit like that. And so they just fucking sent it out there. And guess what they're going to fucking do to it? They're going to sink that motherfucker. Okay. And they're going to blame it on Iran. So again, I know, Jose, what are you talking about? The USA, why would they attack themselves? Why would they do something like that? Again, just please read a book, read anything. The USA has done this a million times, okay, over and over again, and a million times in the last like 100 years. I mean, imagine what they've done before. Anyways, look, literally, they've done this so many times. It's not even, Anyway, so they're gonna. So it's not even. It's funny. They should, instead of calling it a false flag, they should just call it, an American, the American playbook. Run it down the middle, run it down the gut. Anyways, look. Long story short, the USA sent a bunch of ships out there for the intense purposes of, again, for the purposes of this.
Hmm?
What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
What are you doing?
So stupid. so, so one of those ships is just gonna magically, get hit by an Iranian missile that was magically targeting that ship. And then of course, now if all of a sudden an Iranian missile attacks an American ship, a la Pearl Harbor, a la just same thing as hey man, I'm spacing out here. Was it Vietnam and all this other stuff? Anyways, look, all I'm saying is that Gulf of Tonkin and all this other stuff, same thing as a Spanish American War. Look, it's a playbook, okay? We run it down the middle, okay? So it's run it down the gap. Anyway, so long story short, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna put some ships out there to just fucking hang around. We're gonna fucking sink one of them, and we're gonna fucking blame it on Iran. And as soon as fucking Iran attacks us, then all of a sudden now we're at war with fucking Iran. That's it. We didn't declare war per se. They started the war by attacking us. Oh, but wait a minute. You say Iran keeps saying that they didn't attack us? Sure. Okay. Who's going to believe them? They're the enemy. Anyways, look, long story short. Okay, so back to what I was saying. So before, before the war, before Israel attacked Iran, the most of the world was already hating on Israel. Now that they attacked Iran, they really started hating Israel. When Iran attacked Israel, everybody started to be, cheering and happy for Iran. So it seems that the world, but what I mean by the world is that when you're talking to somebody in Brazil, somebody in Tanzania, somebody in Japan, somebody in Finland, when you're just asking a typical normal human living on this earth, most people are backing Iran, believe it or not, as crazy as it sounds. Okay, so now the USA is backing Israel. So if the USA is backing Israel, which is the bad guys, does that make the USA the bad guys? Think about it. World War II, right? Germany, Nazis, Hitler was the bad guys, right? Correct? Right? Because he was going after the Jews, right? For the same reasons everybody's talking about why they're terrible. I'm not supporting Hitler. Hitler's horrible. Horrible. The worst. Okay? But just saying. Just saying. Have you listened to him lately? Anyways, he's saying a lot of the things that are kind of nomenclature these days. And when you see the actions of kind of like what's going on, and when you've left them to their own devices, look what's going on. I'm not saying anything. Just actions speak louder than words, right? So the world right now is looking at Israel like bad guy number one. The USA was already looked at by most of the world as the evil empire, but hey, at least the evil empire, brings us, Coca-Cola, potato chips, rock and roll, what is it? Cooking shows, with Ramsey, American Idol, whatever. So, most of the world was like, yeah, USA kind of sucks, but they're not that bad. They're pretty okay. We'd rather have them as the empire, whatever. So, but now all of a sudden, the evil empire, which most people were kind of like dealing with, now the evil empire is supporting the country that basically everybody on earth for the most part, kind of hates at the moment. So the USA is backing Israel. And you already know China, Russia, North Korea. The gang is back in town. The boys are back in town. Well, I forgot the song, but you know what I'm saying. Like, the boys are back in town. The boys are back. So anyway, so China's already sending things to Iran. But yeah, Iran is running out of missiles. But are they really? No, they're not. No, they're not. They're already, there's all these, radar has already captured a gazillion, airplanes, cargo ships, cargo planes, leaving China. And then all of a sudden disappearing right before they get into Iran. Okay? Military grade, cargo ships and boats and planes and everything. What do you think they're sending to fricking Iran? Huh? What do you think? What do you think Iran is getting from China? Okay. So look, long story short, you know what I mean? So that's already happening. Okay, yeah, exactly. Unlimited missiles memo. You said that. You know what I mean? 100%. You know, trust me. You know what I mean? Are you kidding me right now? And again, guys, you know, look how close everybody is right there. It's not like it's that hard to get over there. Oh, by the way, USA is not in Afghanistan anymore, right? So, and Pakistan and India are at war, but not really at war. Remember the water wars? We talked about this already. You know, the last time we talked about World War III. And China, you know, China backs. You know, China's in that region. Okay, so China is, you know, friends with Bangladesh, which hates fucking India. China, you know, is friends with Pakistan, which fucking hates India. China, you know, has obviously, you know, they got their look right there. You see that little area right there? Anyways, they got their way to get into Afghanistan. They got their grubby hands on Afghanistan because, you know, we abandoned it. Correct. So they got a way straight to fucking Iran. They don't have to go through the water. They can go straight through there. Okay. You know, Iran is a fortress. You know, it's all fucking mountains all around it right now. But anyways, China's already sending shit over there. You know, obviously Russia is a little busy, you know, with fucking Ukraine, and Russia's a little busy, you know, getting bombed. Where's Siberia? You know, I'm sure you guys have heard, right? Siberia. You know, Siberia got what the hell? Anyway, Siberia got bombed and stuff. Anyways, so in that's where they had. Where yeah? Why didn't I? Why? Where's Siberia? Why isn't that showing up on the map? Is it not allowed? Am I not allowed to see Siberia? What's going on? Whatever, man. Look, the point is like, yeah, see, look, who knows? What's... Hold on, let me see. Sorry. Let's try it again. Oh, that's weird. That's very weird. But anywho's, look, the point I'm making is, yeah, who knows, man? Maybe, you know, Russia's already blocking, you know, what I can see or we can't see. Let me see. Yeah, you see? Yeah. Wow. Okay, something's going on. Okay, anyways, look, the point I'm making is, yeah, see, Russia's already blocking something. Anyways, yeah, man, things are, you know, things are getting a little hairy out there, all right? Just FYI, all right? So what was I saying? What was I getting at with all this? So yeah, so anyway, so China's already backing, you know, we already know Russia's going to back Iran. You know, you already know North Korea. You already know, you know, all these, you know, enemies of the US coalition, you know, are going to be backing Iran. So with that said, you know, who is the US coalition? Well, you already know, you know, the USA, Israel, Europe. I mean, not all of Europe, but you know what I mean. You know, some of the European countries, Japan, and so on and so forth. So anyways, India. So, and all of a sudden now, these are the bad guys. Seems like, well, Japan's a bad guy again. Germany's another bad guy again. Only Germany didn't start the war this time, you know, so they're happy about that. You know, Israel and Japan, Israel and Germany are on the same side. That's kind of interesting. The USA. So it seems like again, apparently the USA is the bad guys this time around. But apparently, but again, if you talk to a typical American, you know, especially one that support that's, they'll never see themselves as like the bad guys. The USA will never see itself as a bad guy. But, you know, right now, again, just the USA supporting Israel in the way that they would support Israel, because what they really want to do is take over Iran because there's no Rothschild bank there. But anyways, but what? Huh? What did I say? Anyways, so all of a sudden, you know, who is, you know what I'm saying? Like, who is the bad guy? Who are the bad guys? So would Trump attack Mexico? Not, you know, not now, not at this point. You know, Trump, the USA, Trump is just a puppet. Trump is not really doing anything. Obviously, you know this by now because, you know, what Trump is doing is what, you know, the great big agenda has always wanted to do. So Trump has not stopped anything. Trump is them. Trump is the deep state. Trump is the machine. You know, Trump is just a puppet, you know, for the bankers. It's pretty obvious now, pretty apparent. Okay. Everyone on the planet, every US citizen, for the most part, is saying, do not back Israel, do not attack Iran, get the fuck out of there. leave right now. But what is the USA doing?
Hmm?
What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
So that, I mean, that's what the USA is doing right now. You know what I mean? Like, and you already know. You already know what's gonna happen. And but this time, again, we are the bad guys as an Americans. The Americans are like the bad guys, which is kind of fucking freaking nuts. It's fucking insane. Um, Memo says, "Isn't all this just a big ass proxy war?" I mean, yes, it is it was a proxy war. Again, the wars in Syria was a proxy war. The war in Ukraine is a proxy war. All these wars. But now, all of a sudden, again, remember, if all of a sudden the USA declares war on Iran, then we're at war with Iran. Now, China, would be indirectly, there would be a proxy war for them because they would be indirectly aiding Iran, but we wouldn't be at war with China. So it would be the same exact thing that is happening in Ukraine, where Russia is attacking Ukraine. They're trying to invade Ukraine, and the USA is backing Ukraine, but they're not backing Ukraine. So it's a proxy war for the USA, but a real war for US for Russia. But we're really at war. So Russia and the USA were at war. So it would be the same thing here, where the USA would be attacking Iran, all right, and then China, would be supporting Iran, but not fighting the USA directly. Make sense? No, yeah, you're correct, Andre. China and Russia do not get along. China and Russia do not get along 100%. But remember, right now, like for example, look, right, France and the USA don't get along. But if all of a sudden, the USA is at World War III, and France has to pick a side, France is on our side as much as they don't get along. You know what I mean? So same thing with Russia. Russia's, if all of a sudden the shit hits the fan, Russia is in no way in hell ever, gonna fucking be on the side of the, USA coalition. Not the way things are drawn out right now. So they would reluctantly have no choice but to, be, what is it like, be with China. And again, not with China per se. Russia would be like, hey, we're helping Iran. So, Russia would be involved with Iran, not necessarily with China. You know what I mean? But yeah, China and Russia, they've had a relationship that's a lot more tumultuous than the relationship that the USA has with Mexico. Even though for a lot of people, think that we're gonna invade Mexico and all this other shit, and like no, Mexico and the USA get along. They have to get along. They're like tied at the hip. But in the case of like Russia and China, they have a long history. I mean, it's a recent history if you look at it from the big picture, the thousands of years, whatever. But like in the last 150 years, give or take, the Russia and China's relationship has been kind of weird because what happened was that when the Russian Revolution happened, they instilled communism. They brought communism to Russia, and then the Chinese Revolution happened, and they brought communism, but they didn't know how to do communism. Russia was an expert at communism. So what happened was that, long story short, China asked Russia for help. Like, hey, Russia, can you bring some of your comrades out here, and can you teach our government and our people how to do communism? And Russia's like, of course, we would be more than happy to. Yes, of course, we'll be right there. We'll be right over. And they did. They came over to China and they were trying to, teach the Chinese how to do communism. But then all of a sudden, the Russians were like, man, these idiots, they don't know how to do communism. They have no idea what the fuck they're doing. And they tried and they tried and they tried. And long story short, the Russians ended up leaving frustrated because they're like, bro, these fucking idiots, they don't know what the fuck they're doing. And, obviously you saw how China developed their communism. And then, it's been kind of like a weird, relationship, all the way up until China, became a power, so basically up until like 25, 30 years ago, give or take, when China started, to become strong again. And then all of a sudden, then, Russia and China, were, just dealing with each other, like trading, normal trading, especially in the last 20 years, 25 years. Yeah. So, but yeah, yeah, but it's not been, I 100% agree with you, Andre. You know what I mean? They don't like love each other. You know what I mean? They don't hate each other, but yeah, they definitely don't. They don't see eye to eye on many things. But they deal with each other. Yeah, exactly. It's a very uneasy partnership. Correct. Yes. Let me see. Daniel says it's an easy partnership, but they are neighbors. They get along fine, and it doesn't mean that they don't have any issues. As the French and Germans get along, yeah, French or the English, or yeah, there's many things. I mean, yeah, again, even Mexicans in the USA, depending on who you ask, but depending on what they think about the relationship. Some people will be like, "Oh, we fucking hate each other," and some people are like, "No, I fucking love Americans," or "I love Mexicans." Like so, it goes both ways. There's plenty of Russians. They got no problem with China. Plenty of Chinese. They got no problems with Russia. But when I'm saying politically speaking and all this other stuff, yeah, it's a weird relationship. But look, long story short, at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, you got to remember what we're talking about now. We're talking about World War III. The shit is going to hit the fan. And, now things are just off the table. Like it's not about like, these cultural differences. Who gives a fuck? You know what I mean? Right now, we're going up against our mortal fucking enemy. Because look, Russia, has a fucking problem. Oh, first, remember, Russia has been around for fucking ever, same as China. Okay? That's one issue. The main issue here. Right now, Russia, main problem, USA. USA don't like Russia. A lot of history there. Cold War, you already know. And Russia feels like, hey, man, fuck the USA. They keep getting in our shit. They keep fucking up our shit. They fucked up our communism. They're fucking up our invasion of fucking Ukraine. They fuck them. Fuck these motherfuckers. You know what I mean? So Russia's not happy. Pardon my French. Anyway, so Russia's not happy with the USA. China also not happy with the USA, but it's it's a little bit of a different relationship. Their problem isn't necessarily with the USA. It's more with the British Empire. So China, they got a problem, a big problem. They've had with the British Empire for a very long time. So to them, the war, in the Middle East, even the problems with the USA goes further back. It's like fuck the USA. The way China looks at the USA is like the USA is still like a colony of the British Empire. And again, that's another show for another day. But the way China looks at the USA is more like, yeah, they're just an extension of the British Empire, the same British Empire that had fucked us over, fucked the region. It's going to continue to fuck us over. Fuck them. Okay, so yeah, China. That's the way kind of like China. I feel the way they look at the situation. So with that said, Middle East. Okay, India. It's, was a British colony up until the other day. China. Fucking Hong Kong. Fucking opium wars. I mean, British Empire. You got to remember. The Middle East used to be the Persian Empire. Okay, and then the British invaded and they divided everything up. Once they won, they divided everything up and they created these countries. Iraq, Iran, Saudi Arabia, whatever. And not only did they create these countries, but they also put the people in power in power. Why do you think that all these rich motherfucking guys, the guys in charge of Saudi Arabia, the guys in charge of not Iran, not Iran. Okay, but anyways, the guy's in charge of Saudi Arabia, Iraq at the moment, Syria at the moment, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, all these places. Why do you think that they got motherfuckers that speak English? Okay, that go to British schools, they get educated, whatever. Look at the history, man. Look at the history. Okay, the USA. I'm sorry, not the USA. The British Empire. Okay, they're the ones that put these people in power. They put these families in power. They put these empires in control. Okay, and so long story short, all there's a lot of this region. Remember, Saudi Arabia is on the side of the USA right now, give or take. So what anyways, the region, especially Israel, what they're trying to topple Iran, and Iran, okay, at the moment, again, they don't have a Rothschild bank. Iran does not have a person in power that was put there by Mossad, aka Israel. That was not put there by the British Empire. That was not put there by Americans. Yes, the Americans incited the revolution. Again, go back to the 70s and you look at Iran, okay, and what it was then, okay, and what it turned into. So really what the USA has been trying to do for a very long time, the British Empire, USA, the whatever, has been trying to create a situation in which the people of Iran create a revolution and basically topple down the government, aka a la Syria, or has happened in other countries. But Iran is so strong and has such strong leadership. Again, whether you agree with them or not, I don't fucking know or care. Look, the point is that they've created such a strong, country that the USA has had no way to really fuck them up. The USA has taken them off SWIFT. The USA has banned them from shipping oil. The USA has done everything that they possibly can to fuck them up, and they can't do jack shit to them. So what did they finally end up doing? That they just couldn't fucking, there was nothing else that they could do. They had no other choice. They had to fucking bomb them. That's it. There was nothing left in the playbook. And of course, they weren't bombing them. They had their best buddy in the Middle East. Shout out to Israel, right? They had them bomb the fuck, out of fucking Iran. And so it has started. It is official. And so, the whole thing with China backing Iran, you got to remember, what is Iran doing? What does they represent? Okay? And what are the rest of the region in the Middle East, what do they represent? So for China back in Iran, for Russia even back in Iran, it's a little deeper than, hey, we're just going to back Iran because fuck the USA. No. It was a lot deeper. Okay, remember, fucking Russia was trying to take over Afghanistan way before we did. All right? So there's a lot going on there, guys. It's a lot going on there. Okay? And right now, the thing is, it's like we're just seeing the very beginnings of whatever the fuck is going to end up happening. But it's not going to just be like a overnight war. It's not going to just be a few fucking missiles here or there. It's not going to be no. Listen. Remember when like a month ago maybe, or whenever the fuck we were talking about India, Pakistan, and that was just a skirmish. That was there was nothing going on there. It's just a bunch of fucking idiots. By the way, have you ever seen Indians and Pakistanis fight? It is pretty funny. But look, long story short, yes, they were clashing. Yes, there were deaths. But nah, it was basically they were out there LARPing. Okay, more than anything else. Now, if you guys have been watching the news in the last week, you guys already fucking know. It's raining. It's raining, man. No, but anyways, it's raining motherfucking missiles all over the region. It's kind of fucking crazy. People that are like in Iraq or Syria or whatever, and they're seeing missiles just go and they fly over their head. Anyways, Lebanon, everything. It's just crazy. And so like at this point, every day gets crazier. Who knows? Maybe right now, by the time, I've been, recording this, things have gotten worse. Things have gotten crazier. I don't know. I have no clue. I have no idea. None of us really know, per se. Because again, not everything's being reported right now. Iran is right now under, they've shut off most of their internet. Elon Musk, has turned on Starlink, so now a lot of people are connecting in Iran. But yeah, they're trying to be off the grid. So we don't know, but we just know that things are happening. That's all we know. And right now they're filling you with distractions in the USA. Whether it's the race wars, whether it's the economy, whether it's whatever, they're distracting everybody. They're distracting the fuck out of you so that they can just straight up go to war with fucking Israel. Sorry, with Iran, support Israel. But yeah, it's with Israel. They're gonna go buddy with Israel. But anyways, they go out there to do that, and it's just what I mean. It's just gonna be kind of crazy. But World War III. So in World War II, remember, apparently after World War II, the USA won, the Allies won, the good guys won. But now World War III is here, and it seems like,
Are we the baddies?
We the baddies? Are we the bad guys? So, yeah, man. 100%. Definitely interesting. All right, let me see what you guys have to say here. Hopin says, we had 4.5 years of peace, and now this shit's starting up again. Enough is enough. Yeah, I don't know about all that peace, but we haven't had peace in a long time. Let me see. Yeah, everybody's sick of war. I agree with you there. Carlos says, if Iran goes, it makes way for more democracy in the Middle East. Regime change, China, Russia will lose influence in those regions. So I guess Carlos Martinez is a hardcore supporter of Israel and what they're doing in that region. Sure, you know. That's the thing too, like people, I mean, I've shown it on this channel before, what China really looks like, what other countries really look like. Again, we got YouTube guys. You guys can search and see exactly what these countries look like. And a lot of people think that I don't know, they got this image in their head as to what China really is. It's like, man, I'm sorry to break it to you, but the USA is a lot more totalitarian. The USA is a lot worse than China when it comes to a lot of things, and it's just going to get way worse, when it comes to like the control of the people and those other stuff. So it is interesting. Again, I'm not pro China. I'm not pro anything. I'm pro freedom. I'm pro. I don't want to get the fuck. I don't want to get involved in any of this shit. I'm pro. I live in fucking Mexico, and I'm just watching fireworks from far away, and I have been watching them, and that's it. So, no, sorry, Carlos. Yeah, don't worry, Carlos. I totally, my bad. Maybe I understood it wrong. Oh no, okay, I got it. Okay, I mean, okay, yeah, okay, Carlos. My apologies. Okay, you do not support the current narrative. You don't support the current situation. But you were just saying, what a typical MAGA supporter, I guess, or hardcore MAGA, or typical Trump supporter, or typical Israel supporter will say, which is that their reasoning, that the U.S. reasoning for doing this is that, what they're trying to do is spread more democracy in the U.S., in the Middle East, and they're trying to get regime change in China and Russia. I mean, yeah, I get it. I totally understand. I mean, that is, what they're trying to do, and their reasoning for doing this is, to push more of that, because again, that's more important than having the typical American have health care or put food on the table or whatever it is. My apologies, Carlos. I didn't mean to jump down your throat, bro. And again, listen, man, I got friends that are hardcore supporters of, the current thing, which is, Israel and that whole thing. I just don't talk to them about that, because when we talk about those things, they don't like what I have to say, and I don't like what they have to say, because I don't agree with what they have to say, and they don't agree with what I have to say. So we just talk about sports, we talk about everything and all this other stuff, and they know, how I truly think. And so at the end of the day, they're not out there saying, "Oh, I'm a Democrat," or I'm a whatever. No. They know I'm sane, and I just don't believe in their religion, which is kind of nuts. The people are that aware as well of the situation, and they're like, "I know you don't support my religion, but I know you're not against my religion." And I'm not, because the reality is that I can't control anything. You know what I mean? So I'm not going to be against something I can't control. So, and so at the end of the day, that's why I don't fight anybody, whether they're hardcore left, hardcore right. You believe whatever the fuck you want to believe. Just leave me out of it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't, if that's it. You got to respect um, my opinion and my thoughts, just like I respect yours. That's it. So that's the way I look at the world, But anyways, most of you guys have been following me long enough. You already know how I look at everything here. And yeah, to me, it is crazy. So yeah, by the way, thank you, Carlos, for bringing that context. Because you're right. That is how a lot of people that are supporting of Israel and supporting of this look at it, like, because it is kind of crazy to see to see the blind support for Israel. That to me is something I just do not understand, especially someone that's like a hardcore MAGA, hardcore Trump supporter. You would think, hey, wait a minute, the reason I supported you to begin with was to make America great again. Again, let's go back to the beginning of the show. The reason that anyone voted for Trump was, right? So what the fuck are we doing in Israel? What the fuck are we doing, and trying to invade Mexico? What the fuck are we doing, all these things that are going on right now? That's not making America great again. And in fact, you're seeing all over the place that a lot of people are already, what is it like, saying loudly, I did not vote for this. This is not what I voted for. Carlos says, correct, man. Definitely not a MAGA supporter. I'm Mexican myself. Yeah, man, pero tú sabes, bro. How many Mexicanos, how many Cubans support fucking Trump? By the way, funny enough, you know what I mean? Some Cuban, in Miami, super hardcore supporter of Trump, holding rallies and all that shit. Guess what? They fucking deported his ass to Cuba. Bro, you cannot make this shit up, bro. It's fucking hilarious. Look, I said it. I said it. Like years ago. Not on the show because I wasn't doing the show back then. But I was saying it years ago. Like I already knew that the reason that they were allowing all those immigrants into the USA to begin with, the reason all that was happening was so that eventually they would have an excuse and a reason for them to, clamp down, okay, and start arresting people and deporting people. And again, notice who they're deporting. They're not deporting the fucking bad hombres. So it's fucking hilarious, But yeah, you think you've seen? Do you think people have seen anything yet? It's gonna get so much worse, so much worse. Wait until they start knocking on your door or tearing down your door. Not looking for drugs, no, looking for fucking immigrants. Obviously, not finding any immigrants, but hey, they're in your house. So now, hey, what are these drugs doing here? What is that doing here? What is whatever doing here? Hey, we're gonna come down to the station with me. Yeah, I know we were just looking for immigrants that we were in the wrong, but since we don't need a search warrant to just bust into your home these days, it's basically it's like I caught you with this on the street, so you're fucked. So I mean, don't get me started, man. This is the beginning of everything, man. So again, Nazi Germany, did Nazi Germany really get defeated? Did Nazi Germany leave? No, 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 no. It's Nazi Germany just got transported to the USA, and now you're seeing it more than ever. The USA is turning into Nazi Germany. It just is. It has nothing to do with Trump. Okay, all the fucking leaders in power, whether it was Obama, Clinton, Reagan, Bush, Trump. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? They were all bringing this into play. Okay, that's it. You know what I mean? This is all. It was all part of the plan. One of the few guys that said, "Hey, wait a minute, maybe we shouldn't." They shot him in the fucking head. Remember him? Shout out to JFK out there. The first motherfucker that said, "Hey, what do we?" Yeah, they didn't even let him finish the fucking thought. They blew it right out of his fucking brains, right? They. So yeah, don't be thinking. So anyways, long story short, that's that. So it's funny how the USA, a lot of people are like, oh, China and the communism. Listen, I get it. China, communism, you got to have WeChat. They control you there a certain way. But are you really going to compare, the way things are going on in China, with the way that they did things in Nazi Germany, the way that things are going on in the USA, which is again, after fucking World War II was over, Operation Paperclip, that we basically brought all the scientists and all the fucking, war generals and every motherfucker, to the USA. NASA was started by fucking Nazis. Look it up. I mean, literally, we brought them over and we put them in charge of NASA. I mean, come on, give me a fucking break. Okay. Oh, there we go. Naru Jaloof, shout out to you. So I mean, come on, man. Come on, give me a fucking break. Yeah, I think most people know these things by now. I think most people are fucking well versed on this shit right now. It's not even you can't even say conspiracy theory. It's already fucking well versed. It is fucking nuts. But anyways, look, long story short, man, apparently Jesus was right. Apparently, other people were right. Apparently Kanye was right. Hold on, let me see if I can find that one. Hold on. Apparently Kanye was right. Hold on, I gotta find it. Uh, no, but I got. Hold on. Where is this? Man, this was 2 years ago. Oh my god, sorry. Hold on.
The thing about the red hat that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by a, I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
That's me right now. It's like,
I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
this fucking guy folded under zero pressure. Zero.
Are we the baddies?
Oh man. Oh man. Yeah, but I mean, I'm telling you, man. I mean, I think, man, it's fun. I'm glad that most of you guys out there know what's up, and you guys agree. By the way, or at least, not, I mean, not necessarily agree, per se with everything I'm saying, but at least we're on the same page. By the way, thank you for watching. I see we got a lot of people watching. Shout out to all you guys. Don't forget to hit the likes and the subscribes and all that bullshit. But anyways, yeah, man, it is kind of nuts, to see it all kind of play out and develop. I mean, I cannot believe it myself, not just you guys. All right, hold on. What's going on here? Is it freezing up? Hopefully it's not. Frozen's. Anyway, so a shout out to everyone out there. One second. Anyways, hold on one second. Let's go. Hold on one second. Hold on, because I'm doing something as well here. I gotta make sure. I'll put the music on. One second.
We will make America great again. America great again. America great again. America great again.
Sorry, guys. Gonna make sure. Yeah.
Great again.
All right. Yeah, sorry. I was just texting my wife. Uno segundo. Oh man, where was I? Forgot what I was saying. Anyways, read some comments here. Hold on. Daniel Rock Jazz says, I told my wife that they are starting with the Latinos and working their way to the blacks, probably get rid of American Indians and all the other dark skinned people. Look, that's not what's happening, man. You're seeing all kinds of people getting deported, all colors, all whatever. What they're doing is what they're starting to do. The reality is, okay, is that they're just starting the precedent, not the president, the precedent. They're just kind of like laying the groundwork. Making it okay, letting you guys know exactly what they're doing. So what is it that they're doing? Again, right now they're just using the excuse, hey, it's immigrants. We're deporting bad hombres. They're deporting immigrants. Bop, 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 bop. But long story short, what they're really going to end up doing is that they're just going to start taking anybody that has an opinion that is not the official narrative. So if all of a sudden you're saying something against Israel, they'll probably just take you away. And they'll just use the excuse, again, habeas corpus, but they'll use the excuse that simply, hey, you're an immigrant. Oh, what do you mean I'm an immigrant? I was born and raised in the USA. Here's my birth certificate. I was born at the hospital right over here. Like, no, no. Hey, well, listen, we don't know. Apparently, there must be a mix up with our paperwork. I mean, I mean, if you're a U.S. citizen, you got nothing to worry about. Just come with us, and we'll get it, straightened out at the station, and you'll be free to go. That's what I think. Hopefully, you heard all that because I saw that the internet was breaking up. Okay, but that's what I think is going to happen. You know what I mean? That's exactly what I think is going to happen. I think that is just like I said, they're just starting off with the immigrants and yada yada yada. But it's really just look, just like they did with the Patriot Act. Exactly what they did with the Patriot Act. We're basically, hey, we're here to just spy. We're looking for terrorists, and long story short, they're spying on every one of us legally. Okay, so it's the same thing. They're using this as an excuse so that they can break into your home, break into your car, break into your, any one of your, everything that you're protected by the Fourth Amendment. I'm pretty sure, yeah, Fourth Amendment. That's it. So can I say that again? Yes, again, what I think is going to happen, like I said, is that what they're doing is that they're using the president, they're using the excuse of, hey, we're going after immigrants, we're going after the bad hombres, we're going after these undesirables, yada, yada, yada. Okay, as time goes on, and they pass more laws, we might be at World War III, whatever it is, and things get a little bit crazier. They're going to start passing other, versions of the Patriot Act, basically to take away your Fourth Amendment rights and other rights. So therefore, now they can enter your home, enter your car, enter your whatever without a warrant. Now you're not protected by your Constitution anymore. You're not protected by anything at all. And yeah, okay, so it is a Fourth Amendment. Okay, thanks. Anyways, and so long story short, what they're doing is that what they're doing is that they're getting it to a point where you're okay with them taking the immigrants away, them doing that, yada yada yada, and then you're gonna have too many distractions, whether it's World War III or whatever the fuck it is, and they're gonna pass things like the Patriot Act, but again to take away your Fourth Amendment rights and other rights, and then once they do take those away, then they'll be able to just. All right, sorry, no, so once they do that, okay, sorry, the internet, okay, once they do that, okay, once they pass all those laws, then what they're gonna simply do is that they're just gonna come to your fucking door. They're not even gonna fucking knock. They don't have to. They can just bust into your door legally without a warrant, and that's it. You know what I mean? They can do whatever the fuck they want. I don't know what else to say. So you're a law-abiding citizen, nothing to worry about, and now they can come into your home and plant drugs, or they can accuse you of something, or they can whatever. Now, again, probably right off the bat, they're not going to do anything like that. But what they're going to do is that all of a sudden, if you say something bad against Israel, you say something bad against the politician, you say something that you shouldn't have said on Twitter, they're going to. They're going to shut you down like they're trying to shut me down right now. So, by the way, I apologize for the bad internet. It is storming out here. That's really what's going on. The bad weather. They're cloud seeding the skies out here. The chemtrailing the skies over my head so that way I cannot get the signal out to you guys. My apologies. No, but anyways, long story short, that's it. That's what they're gonna do, man. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be overnight. It's not gonna happen. But it's gonna be just like Nazi Germany, and just like in Nazi Germany, if you talk bad about, if you talked bad about Nazis, if all of a sudden you were saying, I love the Jews, what were the Nazis doing? So now if you say I hate the Jews, you already know what the Nazis are gonna do. I mean, the Gestapo. I mean, the U.S. government is gonna do. So again, World War II. If you spoke freely about during World War II, if you protected the Jews, they killed you. And now in World War III, if you go against the Jews, if you talk against the Jews, then they kill you or they censor you. So funny how it all works. I mean, man, this is why I love history. I've always loved history since I was a child, because it is fucking insane how it just keeps, going. It just repeats and repeats. Again, look, history does not repeat. It rhymes. So again, World War II, okay, again, we were trying to save the Jews, And now World War III, we're trying to kill the fucking Jews again. Or wait a minute, depends on who won. Wait a minute, no wait, the Nazis were trying to kill the Jews, and we were trying to save the Jews, and now we're trying to save the Jews again, and the world is trying to kill the Jews. But now the Jews are the bad guy. We're during World War II, the Jews were the good guys, right? At least that's what they tell us. I don't fucking know. I wasn't there. So, so yeah, it's going to be interesting to kind of see, to see it all play out. You know what I mean? So yeah, the USA, right now, you know what I mean, right, is just it's just spiraling out of control. The main reason I wanted to leave the USA, over 10 years ago, the reason I eventually ended up in Mexico, and again, I'm not going back to the USA. It's because I've known what the USA was going to turn into. It has turned into that. It's only going to get worse. So why would I want to be there? Why would I want to be in Nazi Germany during World War II? That does not make sense. Why would I want to be a Nazi, sympathizer during World War II? You know what I mean? So right now, that's the way I kind of look at it. Again, a lot of people are like, "Oh, you're Trump the Nazi." No, Trump not the Nazi. No, listen. Everybody, everybody. It doesn't matter who they are, no matter what political anything. You know what I mean? They're all, part of the German. Again, the world. The German Empire. The German Reich that never lost. And again, it's not just Germany. Again, the British Empire, guys. Back to the British Empire. So the whole thing was the British Empire. Let's not forget. So the British Empire basically exacerbated, the whole thing in Germany with the Nazis and all that shit. Germany, back, when Hitler was kind of starting out, was trying to be friends with the UK, was trying to be friends with Churchill, was trying to be friends with these people, and basically they were like, no, fuck you, get out of here, you fucking dirty, disgusting, whatever. And look, long story short, it was not what people make it out to be. Okay, so there's a reason why eventually Germany did what they did. Hitler did what he did. So yeah, man, you know what I mean? Like that's like kind of crazy. You know what I mean? Like people don't know the real history. And again, if you look at what he was saying, what he was saying back then, it's what a lot of people are saying these days about Israel. Okay, yeah, man. It really is kind of. You know what? I'll play it on here. You know what I mean? Hold on a second. Like, give me 1 second. I gotta find something. All right. Here, I'm gonna play a little music. No, wait, hold on. I'll play this clip one more time.
By I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor. Diagnosed.
This fucking guy. Anyways. Hold on a second. Hold on. What was I looking for? Oh, yeah. Hold on. Yeah, was this something I saw yesterday? So I'll play. It was from another YouTube video. I'll play the clip real quick so you guys can see, and I'll leave it at that. So I'm gonna play. Yeah, as I'm saying, I'm playing it at the end here, so that way it won't fuck up my shit. I can just cut it out later. Where was it?
I will be the greatest.
Give me 1 second. Uno segundo.
God ever created.
How
It can be wonderful if you have smart people, but we have people that are stupid. The American dream is dead. But if I get elected president, I will bring it back.
trying to
Bigger and better and stronger
address
than
the
ever
issue
before.
once more regarding Palestine? When does
The American dream.
All right, here. Listen to this, and then we'll wrap it up. Okay, we'll start wrapping it up here.
when the Zionists try to make the
1
rest
second.
of the world believe
Okay, hold on. This is the channel. All right, so just in case you guys want to watch it on your own later, I'll give you guys a link. Okay, so you guys can, check it out on your own. But here, I'm just gonna play the clip here. Yeah, because in case, the channel dings me, I gotta cut it out later, but at least you guys can watch it. Okay.
It often, though. Later in his book, he addresses the issue once more regarding Palestine. When the Zionists tried
What book? He's talking about Mein Kampf, okay? This is in Mein Kampf.
to make the rest of the world believe that their new national consciousness of the Jews will be satisfied by the establishment of a Jewish state in Palestine, the Jews thereby adopt another means to dupe the simple-minded Gentile. They have not the slightest intention of building up a Jewish state in Palestine so as to live in it. What they really are aiming at is to establish a central organization for their international swindling and cheating. As a sovereign state, this cannot be controlled by any of the other states. Therefore, it can serve as a refuge for swindlers who have been found out, and at the same time, a high school for the training of other swindlers. Hitler
You ever seen that meme, with the Miranda Cosgrove or whatever? It's like and she's like watching the computer screen. Interesting. You don't say. That's what he was saying? That's what's in the book? Is that why that book is banned? Huh. All right, hold on. Let's see what else he says. Indeed, we do not want to be in Palestine, and just as we Germans have no business being in Palestine, the English have no business being in Germany. Okay, I guess that's something else. Sorry, hold on a second. Let's see what it is. Some other shit he said about. Or is that it? No, I think that was it. Whatever. I think that's enough. Whatever. You guys can watch the rest on your own. I think. Oh, there's more. Was this it? No. Okay. Yeah, that was it. Whatever. Anyways, enough said. All right, I think we'll leave it at that. So yeah, I mean, look, guys, I don't know what else to say, guys. It's right there. The history books. Assuming they didn't burn them, they're there, and you can read them and you can find out more. And yeah, I mean, it is kind of nuts. And then, man, I'm telling you, like, you go deeper into the history of this guy. Again, he was an artist, right? Well, he was. His mom was a single mom, so he was raised by a single mom. And he was an artist. Well, who was his dad? Anybody? Anybody? Bueller? Anyways, so his dad was a Rothschild. Shock. So anyways, his dad was basically his dad, was out there, having unprotected sex, with a woman, and basically got her pregnant, pregos, and that kid happened to be Senor Hitler. And so, the whole idea of how he knows exactly about the Jews is because he's a Jew. Hitler's a Jew. Yeah, I said it. It had to be said. It's in the history books. You can read it yourself. But yeah, long story short, well, it's probably not going to be in, the history books per se, but it's out there. It is what it is, whether you like it or not. And, just like Trump is a puppet, or Clinton is a puppet, or whoever the fuck is a puppet, well, so was he. And he was put there in power. Okay, and he was risen to power. And, yeah. You know what I mean? So, he was basically, once he got into power, shit got out of hand. But look, long story short, he was basically saying what a lot of us are saying right now. And basically, nobody listened to him. They did exactly the opposite of what he was warning you about. And here we are, about to start World War III. And that's it. We'll leave it at that, man. We'll leave it at fucking that. I don't even know what else to fucking say. Except that, I don't want to say this, but
that drove me to a point of exhaustion, which was misdiagnosed by I'm not going to say what race, what people, doctor, and what hospital, and what media it went to. We know I can't say that. It was a Jewish doctor.
He was not a Zionist. Again, he was he was anti. No, he was
What are you doing?
he was you know, if you watch this video, you can watch it there. They go into more detail. I'll send it to you. But no, he wasn't. You know. You know, because I mean, you know, the reality is that, you know, again, remember, he was horrible, you know, so he wanted to exterminate all the Jews. He wanted to, you know, destroy all the Jews. So his idea of like giving them a Jewish state, you know, like having them go, like, no. What are we doing here? What are we doing? What are we doing? You know what I mean? Because the Jews, you know, they wanted to go to Israel.
Hmm?
What are you doing?
To just do this.
Me? Just hanging around.
And so Hitler's like, no. What are we doing? You can't do that. The fuck? Are you kidding me? You let him do that. This is what's going to happen. It's right. You can read it. You can read it again. It's like, if you do that, this is what's going to happen. And that's exactly what fucking happened. So, anyways, Epstein didn't kill himself. So anyways, I mean, anyways, guys, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. You guys are the fucking best. Carlos says that you love that quote. History doesn't repeat itself, but it rhymes. That is not my quote, so I'm not going to take credit for it. I heard it somewhere, and I love that quote, and I've used it ever since, because that's, you know, that's really the case, I feel. You know what I mean? Like, especially if you know your history. It doesn't repeat. You know, it very rarely repeats, you know, but it definitely rhymes. It definitely so many similarities that, you know, it's like when you're trading stocks or whatever, you know, that you know, you can use all the charts in the world, and you can, you know, do all the Fibonacci's and all this shit in the world, but at the end of the day, it's never gonna be exact. You can only use those tools to kind of like help you, you know, guide you better to lose your money. But that's it. But that's not really gonna, you know. Anyways, all right. So, only war we won because of Russian help. That's right. That's right. You know, the Russians, if it wasn't for the Russians, Hitler would have won. Fucking Russians. Anyways, and then we became their enemy. No, but anyways, I mean, it was a good thing that Hitler died, right? But it was also, but was it a good thing that the USA won? I mean, you know, I don't know, man. Who knows? You know, I mean, we can only go so deep and question so much, you know? I mean, would it have been better if he would have won? You know? Yeah, whatever. At least the USA won, right? So, it is what it is. That's right. Hitler did not die in World War II. He was living in Argentina. In fact, not only was he living in Argentina, but many other, you know, German soldiers, German people, you know, in his cabinet, whatever the fuck, that were not, you know, taken over by Paperclip, you know, by Operation Paperclip. They got to live happy lives, you know, full lives without hiding at all in places like Argentina and Canada and other places. So that's right. Yeah. So shout out to Kanye, right? Anyways, yeah, that's right. Yeah, no, Kanye's the best. I love Kanye, man. I'm a big fan. Anyways, so yeah, but I mean, it is kind of crazy, you know what I mean? Like, just to see it all kind of play out, man, because it's like, fuck, you know, it's actually, you know, here, hold on. Might as well, there you go, Alex Jones song. Let's end it with this.
Paradigm of absolute control.
I love you guys.
And that's why we're just out here doing simple
Gonna get out of here, right?
We're meant to be in nature and be natural.
Thank you so much for watching.
This is where we find the source that God made.
You already know the deal.
To transcend the new world order.
If you like this kind of content, don't forget to please like, please subscribe, please share, please hit the bell icon, but more importantly than anything else, please stay motherfucking awesome. I love you guys, and I'll see you guys here on Thursday, next Thursday. Hopefully we don't all get fucking blown to smithereens by then, so later, guys.
What more do you need to know about these people? I go out and face these scum. They literally crawl out from under rocks. They have green looking skin, and they run around screaming, we love Satan, we wanna eat babies. I have them on video. Hillary's in the creepy, weird, sick stuff, man. sleeps in the same room with that creepy weirdo woman whose mother wears a hood over her head. What the hell? That woman number one is ugly. Imagine how bad she smells, man. I'm told her and Obama just stink. Obama and Hillary both smell like sulfur. Literal vampire pot, then the goblins are hobbling round, coming after us. My spirit gets close to that evil and I feel it go. We're such self-centered crap, we don't even notice hell itself rising up against us. Millions of pointed people of the very worst type, and I'm so pissed. We're gonna stab your daughter at the mall. We're gonna stab your wife, your son. We're gonna stab you with a butcher knife, and then the police chief is gonna say, we love our Somalis, we love our Muslims. Oh, they're so good, oh, they're so sweet.
I was watching Fox News as I worked out this morning.
Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to another live stream. Back to another live stream. Back
100 times?
to another live stream.
200 times? 500 times?
Probably.
Who is Jose Arteaga?
Jose Arteaga is a YouTube content creator with several channels focusing on different themes.
Going all in on something must take a lot of conviction.
How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
How many chairs are you sitting on right now? How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair? You put on one pair of glasses, you've got one pair of AirPods, you're looking at me through one screen. That's one microphone. Like, you trust it? Is that conviction? Is that conviction? How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair?
One.
How many chairs are you sitting on right now? If you're a rational individual, when you use knives, do you have copper knives, wooden knives, steel knives, aluminum knives, rubber band knives, diamond knives, because you're afraid to commit to the right knife? It's a tool. Seems kind of scary. Why don't you diversify? Why don't you use 10 microphones? The point really is, things in your life, did you drive in 10 cars at the same time or one car at one time? Do you drive down one street? Aren't you afraid that you're driving down one street? Do you think a different way? You know? So my point really is, how many chairs are you sitting on right now?
One.
Are you all in on the chair?
One.
How many chairs are you sitting on right now?
To another live stream. Back to another live stream. Back
100 times?
to another live stream.
200 times? 500 times?
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Who is Jose Arteaga?
Jose Arteaga is a YouTube content creator with several channels focusing on different themes.
I can't do it. We'll do it live. We'll do it live! Thing sucks!
His main channels include travel vlogs and lifestyle content. On his travel channel, Jose Arteaga Travels.
You ain't got the answers, man. You ain't got the answers.
Additionally, he runs a cooking channel and engages in other personal projects that highlight his diverse interests and expertise. Projects that expertise. Projects that expertise. Project, 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 project.